Welcome everyone. We are very excited today to have you join us for this Credibility Building Tactics webinar. Not only is this webinar going to be content rich, but it also qualifies for 1 CEC at IPBC. After the webinar, you will receive a certificate in your inbox from our support team at CBT Continuing Education. We are a proud partner of IPBC, and we look forward to hosting more webinars in the very near future. For those of you who are invited guests, please do contact us afterwards at support@cbtcontinuingeducation.com, and we will ensure that you do receive a certificate. Patricia Fripp is an expert in presentation skills and business communications. She has been a popular executive speech coach and trainer for almost 20 years for the American Payroll Association. Kiplinger's Personal Finance wrote, Patricia Fripp's speaking skills training is one of the best ways to invest in you. Patricia, most bookkeepers don't consider themselves public speakers. What do you have to say about that?
Well, as you know, Lisa, outside the privacy of your own home, all speaking is public speaking. There is no such thing as private speaking. Whether it is across the desk with a client or a prospect, whether it's running a staff meeting, or perhaps going out into your community or professional association to network and at events, it's all public speaking. And when we speak clearly, concisely, it builds our credibility and our confidence and, of course, our business. Lisa and I have a very important partner to serve you, and that is Paul. Paul will help run our polls and pose the questions to us that you send in. So, Paul, why don't you tell our friends how they can engage?
Absolutely. Hello everyone. On the right hand side of your screen you will see a chat window. Within this chat window you can pose your short specific questions that will be answered during the call. In that same area of the screen is where you'll see polling questions throughout the call. Once you see the polling question, select your answer, click vote, and then click on the chat tab to return to the chat. Thank you.
In fact, let's ask our friends the first question, Paul, which is, are you nervous when you walk into a room of strangers? Which is what you would do at a networking event. You have 1 minute to say yes or no. And while you're doing that, I recommend, as you go to any event, be prepared, just as if you were standing up to deliver a client presentation or you actually presenting at a trade association. Prepare, because all speaking is public speaking. The most frequently asked question that we have is, what do you do? And certainly you say, I'm a bookkeeper with, or I own a bookkeeping company. I recommend you come up with a more benefit statement, such as, I help my clients stay organized and profitable. And then the question probably would be, well, how do you do that? And the next question you might ask back is, well, that depends, because our clients range from solopreneurs up to $2 billion companies. So, Lisa, where would you be in that range? So you send it back to the other person. Because if you consider networking is a very important part of marketing, then you need to make sure that your conversation is focused on what is most interest to the person you're communicating with. Now, Paul, what is the answer to our polling question? How many of our friends feel nervous in a room of strangers?
It looks as if it's a 50-50 split.
Well,
yes, they feel comfortable, and
good.
No, they don't.
Well, whether you are or not, being prepared will make a great difference. And there's another technique that will serve you well. One of my best friends is the best-selling author of a book I would highly recommend, How to Work a Room. If you are part of the 50% who is nervous, buy it. It's an easy read, and very few books are bestsellers for over 25 years. How to Work a Room. And what Susan and I do naturally, which we suddenly realized we need to teach our audience members and clients, is what I now call travel with your own PR agent. So use your version of this. When Susan and I walk into a networking event, we'll separate, we'll come together, we'll separate, we'll come together. And if I walked up and Susan was talking to Lisa, she would open the circle to invite me in and then say, Lisa, may I introduce to you my friend Patricia Fripp. She truly is one of the best speakers, executive speech coaches, and sales presentation skills trainer. In fact, Meetings and Conventions magazine said she's one of the 10 most electrifying speakers in North America. And I would say, Lisa, and I know Susan is far too modest to tell you, she is the best-selling author of 6 books. She's been on the front cover of USA Today and the Wall Street Journal. She's even been in Playboy. And then Susan would say, yes, Lisa, but not as a centerfold. Now, can you see what we do? We are saying about each other what in polite company you normally would not do. You normally say, hi, Lisa, I'm one of the 10 most electrifying speakers in North America. Did you read about me in Kipling of Personal Finance? Did you see me on the news? You wouldn't do that. Somebody else can. And this is natural and organic. It can be a friend in a different industry, or it could be someone who actually works with you. So we have answer with a not specific but benefit statement, and perhaps travel with your own PR agent. Now, to personalize and drive this conversation event to focus on you, Paul, could you ask the second polling question, which is, are you responsible to help drive revenue for your company? And while you answer that, let's look at how can you have credibility and a competitive edge. When you speak, whether your audience is 1, 5, 15, or 500, we want to speak to be remembered and repeated. And you are very knowledgeable, and you certainly are a very competent professional in how you speak, represent how your skill level is. The perception is the reality. And as we want to be remembered and repeated, especially when you're talking to an individual who might be considering doing business with you and they're also talking to 3 other firms, we want you to be memorable and repeatable more than the competition. Get in the habit of speaking in shorter sentences or phrases. Use very clear, precise language. And make sure it's you focused. So before we go on, Paul, what is the answer to our poll?
100% say yes. It is their role to develop new business.
Great. Then we have the right audience. Certainly, because if the answer is no, and we do understand that many people earlier in their career might not consider that they drive business. However, if you can bring in business, you are going to get promoted and well compensated. So that's great. So however you bring clients into your office to be considered, if it's another question, Paul, if you can put another poll up, that I'll start talking about one-on-one conversations with individuals. It would be nice to know if any of our listeners actually have more formal presentations where you might speak to 5-person leadership team or more. So are some of your presentations for business to small audiences, 5 or more? Or you word that the way is best, Paul. So when somebody comes to the office, there is a certain format and formula that I recommend. Obviously, you want to be polite. However, you want to keep the presentation and the conversation on track. So once you welcome people in, and if they come to your office, if you are one of the principals of the firm, I do recommend you go out and welcome them in your lobby, even if there is someone who would normally direct them and bring them back to you. It's very impressive if someone important comes out to the lobby to meet you. It gives the illusion that the client is valued. So, Paul, do I see 100% actually give stand-up presentations?
Yes.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Perfect. So the principles are exactly the same. So one, let's start with how do you do, welcome. And this would also work if you're standing up for a firm. If you work on the principle that people are more interested in themselves than you, we need to emotionally connect with you-focused language. So you're not going to say, I'm going to tell you, it's you will hear. We're going to design our presentation around what's of interest to them. So let's look at the 5 principles, whether it's a conversation or a stand-up presentation, and then we'll put this into the logical flow. And feel free at any point to write in your questions. So first, we need to get off to a good start. You don't want to waffle around. The first 30 seconds and the last 30 seconds of a conversation or presentation have the most impact. Get off to a good start. Structure your conversation or presentation around what is of most interest to them. So certainly when you are delivering a more formal presentation, you already know what their challenges are, their interests are, or their priorities. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an executive team or a management team to talk to. Third, you need to emotionally connect. Now, you emotionally connect through eye contact, highly you-focused language, the structure around their priorities, and through stories, which brings to the next point, stories and examples. We use words to communicate. However, our audience of 1, 5, or 50 see our presentations when we use more visual words. For example, I could say, whether you speak in a boardroom, a training center, or a convention hall. Now, this is very much like you might use a solopreneur to a $2 billion corporation. You see, they give different pictures, and the person we're talking to, we are answering their unspoken question, which is, do you deal with clients of my size? So we have start, structure, emotional connection, stories and examples and visual language, and 5, specificity. In the bookkeeping accounting world, you live in a precise world, and your language and vocabulary and clarity of speech, 1, builds your credibility, builds other person's confidence, and again, makes it easier for people to remember. So let's look at the opening of a presentation. The pleasantries, if Lisa is invited into your office, or you're standing up, you're introduced to a board that you're presenting why they should do business with you rather their current firm. You might say, good morning, Lisa. If you are walking into the boardroom, you might say, good morning. Then, and again, if it's 5 people, if you have the possibility, I would recommend you stand up, especially if you have any visual aids, PowerPoint presentation. First, congratulations. Now, if it were an individual in your office, congratulations. Lisa, I know you were just honored by the Chamber of Commerce as one of the fastest moving entrepreneurial businesses. Or congratulations, I read the article about you. Or congratulations, I saw you speak at. Or congratulations on becoming one of the best employers in our community. It can be as simple as, if you're in a company, congratulations on your advertising. Congratulations on your stock price increasing when most of your competition is going around. Congratulations on winning this new account. Or congratulations. Every single person who walked past me or I saw as I was walking to your office smiled and engaged. Obviously, your core values are paying off. Whatever it is, it just has to be genuine, and it is a good idea, if possible, that what you're congratulating them for, they would be surprised. You obviously have done your research, and it's very simple to do that. If you called any company and talked to the receptionist, or it could be the communications department, it's bigger, you just want to find out, what are your company's latest successes that you're proud of? And remember, we do not want to be the same as everybody else. If you sound the same as everybody else, you have no advantage. And I promise you, unless they've been Fripp trained, the chances of any of your competitors saying this are unlikely. Now, because many of our listeners, Lisa, are not actually competing against each other, it really doesn't matter. Congratulations. Then you might say, John or Lisa has been so congratulations, and then thank you for the opportunity to discuss if the Patricia Fripp bookkeeping firm is your best and most logical choice. John has been very generous with his time and information, and he says your priorities are, or the reasons you are looking for a new firm, or your major challenges are, or you're most interested in hearing about, bullet, bullet, bullet. So can you see what you are doing is setting up the agenda as it interests them? Now let's stop there for a moment and realize what most sales professionals do in any industry. And your title might not be client development, but you've told us you are very much involved in client development. Most people start their presentation with, hi, I'm Patricia Fripp, I'm with the ABC company, and we've been in business for 12 years, and we serve clients such as, and we're known for our unique methodology and we'd love to do business with you. Nobody cares. So you understand all the information that you're going to deliver to them about your firm is going to still be in your presentation. However, it's designed for them. So you can always find a way to say, especially when you say, we appreciate the opportunity to discuss. And as you know, because they probably will if you got there for an executive presentation, as you know, we have served this community for 23 years. My father started the business, and I've been actively involved since I was 15 years old, working in the office in the mailroom. What? Yeah. Then, once you have their challenges, Then, so for example, Lisa, can you think of one challenge? In fact, Paul, do we have any questions at this point?
There was a question when you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce earlier.
Okay.
Cynthia mentioned that she had asked to speak at Chamber of Commerce and she wanted to know, should she say yes?
Oh, most definitely. If you have the opportunity to speak in your community, in fact, make sure, Paul, that I focus on that right after this, because that is a next level of promoting in your industry, which is be considered a great speaker at the service clubs, the chamber, as well as any professional group and organization. And the same formula that you will use in structuring your sales presentation or conversation will work in structuring that presentation. And if anyone listening would like to send any question or specific that they need to answer in an upcoming presentation, send it in and we'll see if we can help you. So let's just go back while you're thinking about, let's go back to your conversation and presentation. So it's congratulations. Thank you for the opportunity. John says these are your areas of interest. So one might be, Lisa, can you think of what might be one area of interest that a new bookkeeping firm might have to answer? Or even think, if you were interviewing a new bookkeeper, what would be your biggest concern?
Their level of expertise.
Okay, good, perfect. So exactly. So your level of expertise, and so you can. So what you can say is, John said you're very happy. You've been happy with the firm you're using. However, as you have expanded your business, you are not confident that they have the level of expertise. Now you're expanding nationally. Okay, so that might be it. So is you, and remember, this is the you focus language. So Lisa, you have the confidence of knowing that 3 of our most loyal long-term clients went through exactly the same process that you have. And this is where you introduce an idea, level of expertise. Now you're going to give an explanation. And this is in fact, Mary Smith and Paul Jones are experts in this area. And then you're going to give an example, and this is when you talk about your loyal clients. And this is where, Lisa, you tell a story. And it can be short. And remember, stories are about people. Now, I know you might have a professional firm who does business with other professional firms. And perhaps you can't mention your clients. Even if you can't, for whatever reasons, you might say, Diane was a national sales manager in a large Canadian lumber company. And as they expanded nationally, she called us and said, now what would she have said if she called you? And it would be the same or similar challenge as the prospect company you're talking to. And this is the formula. Situation, and it is delivered in the words shrunk down, obviously, and dramatized of your client company that you could actually use as a reference. So that's the situation. The solution would be, so what we did with Diane, we analyzed where they were now, we went through our 5-step evaluation process to make our recommendations. And then the success is, again, in Diane's words, which is, if you were to talk to Diane, she would tell you, as our business became more complex, we needed a more sophisticated firm. And we were pleasantly surprised that the expertise and the speed of whatever they're saying about you. So you see, you bring up as a talking point what is their issue. Business is getting more complex. Are you really credible? You answer that with an explanation, introduce some characters who would probably look after their account, give an example, which is a story, and then you might give an application. So if we are lucky enough to win your business, the first step would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go to their second concern, and then their third, and you're giving the information in chunks, digestible pieces. And if the account is complex, after each talking point, you might say, before we go to your next talking point, do you have any specific questions, or shall we go on? And then when you've gone through your more formal presentation, again, based on what they want to hear, and remember, prospects can interrupt anytime they want, then you might say, at this point now, Lisa, what are your shorts, or what are your specific questions? Then you answer their questions, and then you need some sort of call for action, which might be, our next logical step is, or what would you like our next logical step to be? And then, again, you might say, thank you. Don't ever thank them for their time. Thank them for the opportunity to be considered. We would very much enjoy the ABC company as part of our clients. And then your last words linger. Make sure your walk away long is not just thank you. You want to say thank you, but you want to say remember. You will always have my cell phone. And go back to, if you are a relatively small firm, because I'm a relatively small firm, Lisa's a relatively small firm, and you want to always take what might be a seeming disadvantage and turn it to an advantage. So, for example, if you're a small firm compared to some of your competition, you might say is, when you deal with the Fripp company, you're always dealing with the president of the company. You can call me 24/7. You will always have my cell phone, and you will also have the cell phone of your key account executive. We are small enough to be nimble, and your investment goes not in our big high-rise building, but more in the quality and competence of our staff. Now, if you're a big firm, the walk-away line might be, and you have the confidence of knowing, we've had 156 profitable quarters. You know, we've been in this community for 56 years, and we're not going anywhere. So you understand, whatever is the key advantage of your firm, it's your walk-away line. And this is, I compare the walk-away line, your last words linger, to the PS of a sales letter. And all good copywriters will tell you they write the PS first. And it has nothing to, and it's never a new idea. It reinforces one of the major ideas within your presentation. So with that, let me be quiet for a moment and see, Paul, do we have any questions from our audience? Or Lisa, once we heard, if the audience has any, if you any come to mind, feel free to interject. So back to you, Paul.
At this time, we don't have any additional questions.
You don't have any additional questions. Okay. Lisa, do you have any specific question before I go on?
How do you get a competitive edge
Yes.
when competing for a specific position within a corporation, and you know that you're down to 2 people, and you're the one of the 2?
Okay, good. So now we're taking the credibility to build your career within a firm. So that's great. We network, we have sales conversations and presentations. Now it's career advancement. Wonderful. Usually, just as we encourage people to travel with your own PR agent because you're too modest, remember, when you are competing for business, you have to talk about yourself. And what I teach my clients could well work for you. So first, let's be realistic. If you're in a large firm, the word is out on you long before your interview for the position. So this is why when we say all speaking is public speaking, if you're in a large firm and you meet the employee, you meet the chief financial officer of your company in the employee cafeteria, your interactions at the buffet line can be memorable. You get in the elevator and you step in, and there's one of the board of directors or the president of the company. You have to the 12th floor to make an impact. That's public speaking. Be prepared, because Lisa, there are frequent, unplanned, unexpected meetings that we need to be perpetually prepared for, and this is public speaking, and this builds your credibility for your long-term career success. And that is, again, focus on the other person. Now, if you meet the president of the company or one of the board of directors that you know who they are but they don't know you, you might say, Lisa, how do you do? I'm Patricia Fripp. Now, where are you in that company, or how would they know you? And then say something about them. Loved your article in, or your comments in the corporate report were very insightful, or I heard your presentation too, or just say something about them, or ask an interesting question. Now, it has to be short because you're in the elevator. And isn't it better to be prepared and not have the opportunity than have the opportunity and not be prepared? Now, Paul, are there any questions at the moment? Oh, I haven't completely answered that question. So, okay, fine. Sorry. Focused attention. I was still in the elevator. Yes, so now you've built your credibility as you go on, so now you're in this interview. Many of my clients, when I say, all right, what are they going to ask you? And remember, you have been successful, or you wouldn't be interviewed for this position. Tell us about you. And we are too modest to talk about ourselves, or we feel uncomfortable talking about your great career success. Here is the secret formula that will serve you well. You are not the successful person you are. You didn't become that way alone. Any career success I have had and Lisa has had, we didn't do it alone. So give the credit to your mentors, parents, bosses. An example, I was helping a woman who was going for an interview for a position in the firm she was in that was in a new division. Her competition was someone who was the logical person because they'd been second in demand. And she said, I come from another area, however, I'd really like it. And they're going to ask, well, tell us about you. And of course, she was outrageously successful, just as the other person going in the job. And I asked her about herself, and she said, when I was 10 years old, my father died, and my mother had 5 children, and she wasn't working. And she said to me, you will never be in this position where you have little money, 5 children, and no way to support yourself. So you see, she's taking, mother said this, so this is why I focused on my education and I got these degrees, because I always remembered what my mother said. Then her next mentor was in high school. I had a great counselor who helped me understand that my skills were in this area, so I focused and directed my passion and my energy. Then my first job was here, and I was lucky enough to have a great manager who guided me and said, where do you want to be? Who do you have to know? What do you have to learn? And what education do you have to get? So you see, she's talking about herself, but the framework, and can you notice the similar framework as your presentation? It goes in chunks, is giving credit. What you did with the advice, what you did with the encouragement has been the results. And then when they ask you, why do you think you'd be perfect for this job? You can say is, well, naturally, I think I would be perfect because of 1, 2, 3. However, more in what you're going to say is, my last team, or my last boss, or my last vice president would tell you. Now, just as Lisa in the sales development, business development conversation or presentation, you use the words of your happy, satisfied clients. Now you use the happy, satisfied words of whoever would give you a recommendation. So you say is, when I worked on the cross-functional team leading this, whatever, this proposal for our president, he said, Lisa is the logical leader for any project. So again, you're using third-person endorsement for your skills the way we would in developing business. Now, is that clear enough?
Yes.
Good. So, Paul, do we have any questions?
Well, there was one question from Gregory. He said that you mentioned introductions earlier, and he wanted to know, do you have any other tips on how to make his introduction more interesting?
The introduction, as far as your one-on-one introduction, is that what he meant?
Yes.
All right, good. Well, I'm going to take it. What I'm going to do is take it from the networking event into the sales conversation or presentation, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's the client development, or even if it's in the looking for the job. So, for example, Lisa, if I'm talking to you across the desk or in a client development, When it comes, you'd say, Lisa, in my role as your personal bookkeeper, I would be in charge of your project. This is what you can expect from me. This is what I ask from you, and this is how regularly we would interact. Would that work for you, or would you want to change the frequency? In a more formal presentation, especially if they were a larger group, you've met a couple of people. So let's go back to congratulations, thank you for the opportunity. Gregory or John has been very generous with his information and said you're most interested too. Then you would say, in case we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Patricia Fripp, and in my role as your key account representative, you can expect from me. Now, when you take the same principle into the looking for the job, you want to get the next level up, you would say, in my role as the head of this department, what you could expect from me would be bullet, bullet, bullet. You can feel confident that I can deliver based on my experience in this division, my education in that division, and my as far as leading the sales meetings. What you may or may not realize is that I'm frequently asked to present at such and such conferences. So I'm very used. So you're adding some specificity, and why are you doing this? To build the comfort and the confidence of the people that you're speaking to. It's all about them. Now, are there any more questions, Paul? Otherwise, we can go back to what was picked up with should I speak for the Chamber of Commerce? That could be the next point, but let's just see if our friends have any more focused questions.
Not right now.
Okay, good. So, Lisa, should we pick it up? How do you promote your business one presentation at a time?
Sure.
In my earlier career, I was San Francisco's #1 men's hairstylist. And I had a product distribution business. And I took the Dale Carnegie sales course and loved it. I took the Dale Carnegie public speaking course, and all my executive clientele. So my clientele would be very similar to your clientele, movers and shakers in the business community. And they knew I was speaking to promote to hairstylists. And they said, hey, speak to my Rotary Club, speak to my Kiwanis Club. Hey, can you speak at my staff meeting? And I realized speaking was the least expensive way I could promote my business. Little did I know that would end up being my profession. So if you accept an engagement, look at all the benefits. The very fact that you can stand up in front of 20 or 50 and be halfway credible and decent and interesting and entertaining. You're not expected to be a Hall of Fame keynote speaker. You're expected to be interesting and informational and prove that you know what you're talking about. You're also expected to speak at the level of the audience, because you have certain credibility, and if you're talking internally to individuals with the same education, you're going to use a slightly different language and level of credibility and what you might say specificity in certain language that I wouldn't understand. Your presentation to the chamber doesn't have to tell your audience everything you know. It just has to give them the confidence that if they wanted to engage you Oh, you're open, you're friendly, you know what you're talking about. So when you're going to accept the engagement, and in a perfect world, you would go to a similar meeting before you're actually speaking, so you get the lay of the land, you get to see the audience, you know the demographics, you would feel comfortable, especially if it's going to be in the same room. You are going to be prepared, and we'll talk about how you do that. You're going to write your own introduction, because somebody reads it and they are going to tell the world all your credentials that you're not. And you're going to go early, and you're going to schmooze with the crowd ahead of time. You're making friends with the audience before you stand up and speak. And you're adding to your credibility because you can stand up and speak. You are adding to your marketing effort, because all business people like you, Lisa, like me, we want to be well known in our own community. And this is a great way to appear to be giving back, but it's great marketing. There's no such thing as a free speech, because you have the marketing, you have the new friends, you have the credibility, and the fact that you can stand up and speak makes you an expert above other people who are not there. And you're more likely to do business with more of the audience, say you got 30 people at the chamber, than if you actually talk to 30 individuals. It's just amazing. Trust me, it works. That's how I built my business. Now, when it comes to your presentation, just think about what is your central theme. So it might be, if a bookkeeper or the principal of a bookkeeping firm was delivering Lisa at your Chamber of Commerce, what would be the title of a presentation that you might want to turn up and actually go to that presentation?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that it's all about real.
All right, well, yeah, okay, Lisa, you were a little squeaky with that sound. So can you say that one more time?
I would want to make sure my first statement is all about my audience.
Yes, but what subject would get you to get dressed, look as glamorous as you do today, leave your kids and that handsome husband, and go out to the meeting? Can you think, as a business owner, what subject would appeal to you?
How bookkeeping was going to save me time and money.
Perfect. So can you see that would be appealing? And again, within that presentation, you are going to give stories and examples of other clients that had the same problem. So very much your stories are going to go in there. You're going to give them specific advice, and you're always going to tell them, of course, you are well off if you talk to your own bookkeeper about this, this, this. And you might want to ask your bookkeeper these 3 questions. If the answers are not this, this, and this, perhaps we need to have a conversation. So, Lisa, in case people are interested in more information about, well, how would I really up the power of my presentation skills when I'm getting business? If I really would like to give a speech for the Chamber of Commerce, how can we learn more how to do it? And this is where, Paul, do you have our Fripp VT ready to show our friends where they can get continuing education credits and get all the information about building their business and giving a presentation at the Chamber?
I do indeed.
Perfect. So if you could bring up Fripp VT, which stands for Fripp Virtual Training. All right, now as you can see, this is the highly interactive, learn at your own pace, web-based training. And you will notice, Paul, can you show them where continuing education is? And you are going to click on there. And this is where Lisa and I have partnered to help you become a great presenter easily, conveniently, and quickly. So if you can go down the page and see, so you can learn more, you can learn more, or you can join. But I'm sure you want to learn more, perhaps before you join. And we have individual courses that give you continuing education credit. For example, if you'd like to click on the tour button, yes, and we want you to have a look around, but look at the tour. For example, if we go down the page here, speech structure, which is the third course, this is how you would design your presentation for the chamber. Now, if you want to connect to your audience, 1 or 5 or 50, that is a great course. The next one, and we give you a free trial of one of those chapters to see how you like the system. This is how you master your stories that you'll use everywhere. Now, if we go down a little lower, Paul, to the sales, superstar sales presentations, and again, you probably do not think of yourself as a salesperson as such. Life is a series of sales presentation, and you've all told us you're part of client development. That is a very valuable course for you. And if you want to get promoted, as Lisa suggested, the reporting to senior management without being terrified is also a great course for you. So, Paul, why don't we click on how about superstar sales presentations? And a little me will talk to you. We'll just show you how it looks. In superstar sales presentation, the insight secret, you will learn the secrets that make your sales presentations more compelling. This course will give you a seemingly unfair advantage over your competition. As a bonus, you receive continuing education credits. If you're ready to add this course, click the Upgrade Now button. And as you can see, you find out before you join exactly what you're going to learn. And this is the most cost-effective and easy way that you can add the skills. If you want to, you could even show it in your boardroom if you want to train a team. So Fripp VT, and click on continuing education. And Lisa, do you want to say any more about your partnership with the accrediting body?
Well, I do know that I think IPBC very much supports bookkeepers and very much a tool for you as a bookkeeper for increasing your confidence, your clarity, and being able to deliver presentations, whether it's in the boardroom, the large audience, or you're across the table with one of your clients and you want to increase credibility, communication, delivery of the information that you have.
All right, good. Well, Paul, if you can just go back again, show everyone the home page that they would go in to go in, then we will come back and see if there are any other. There we are. Perfect.
Patricia, I have a question for you. Can you give a number of engagements on a daily basis? Can you give our participants just a quick tip about how to create the nervousness prior to?
Okay, perfect. Well, certainly if you're going to the Chamber of Commerce, and Paul, if you go, bring back to me, thank you. Certainly if you're going to speak at the Chamber of Commerce, or I would say if you're going to win new business, it is natural and normal to be somewhat nervous. The best advice is remember the showbiz adage, and that is security is knowing your lines. Some of my client companies, when they ask for business, they're asking for $1 million. I have one client that when they got to the point they were giving a presentation to get business, if they got the business, it was worth $20 million. And I asked them the question, Lisa, how long do you spend preparing? Thinking they would say, for 4 days, we lock ourselves in the boardroom, we go through the presentation, we keep bringing different associates in to shoot out hard questions. And what they actually said was, well, if we do a run through in the back of Jenny's car before we walk in, we're lucky. No, take this seriously. Good presentation skills, powerful, persuasive presentations, good public speaking. It is not brain surgery. I promise it's not as it's easier than what you had to learn to do to be a competent bookkeeper. I promise you. I couldn't do your job. However, it's probably a tad more complex than most people realize. So one, the Fripp VT, and hopefully this advice will help you with structuring your presentation. So remember the principles again. However your presentation is, you want to start well. And it's not going to be, good morning, my name is Patricia Fripp. It's not going to be, thank you for asking me to speak. It's not going to be, thank you for your time. You need to get off to a better start than that. You need a good structure, you need stories, you need emotional connection, and you need specific language. No sloppy language, which we'll just go into in a couple of minutes. Get prepared, and if you have a PowerPoint presentation, whether it's for the chamber or for a prospecting meeting, you don't start with the PowerPoint. You start with what are the needs of this client? What examples can we use? Where do we put our credibility? How do we personalize it so they know, although this is a standard presentation, it's focused just on them. So that goes on an outline before the PowerPoint. And then it's rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Once your presentation is together, Lisa, people think they're done. No, you're halfway done. Now you've got to get it in your body. Michael Caine said, rehearsal is the work, performance is the relaxation. And the best advice, whether it's a sales conversation, whether it's to get promoted, or whether it's to give a presentation for visibility, is build rehearsal into your everyday life. Now you might say, Patricia, I don't have an hour every day. No, but when you walk up to someone in the staff room to get a cup of coffee, you might say, Lisa, I've ever told you the story about how I first met Patricia and won her business. So you're practicing elements of your story, segments at a time. When you're driving to work, you talk to yourself. You get it in your body. You absolutely must know your open, your close, and your framework. You need to hold the overview in your mind. And it's okay to take an outline with you. You're not going to read it, but you're going to have an outline just so you stay on track. So that is the best advice. So with that, Paul, do we have any short specific questions?
Not right now.
All right, good. And when we send our friends away, Paul, if you could bring up where they would click for Fripp VT if they want to go, just look around and click Continuing Education and take a free trial. They could certainly do that. So let us pick up, Lisa, specificity builds credibility. The world is turning into sloppy speakers, and the unconscious goof that will ruin your credibility as a competent, professional, and superb bookkeeper is sloppy language. And the biggest word is STUFF. Stuff is debris. And I recommend in your rehearsals for client presentation or just your side of the conversation when you're talking to your clients on the phone, just record your conversation, because you will not improve what you're not aware of. And you will find if you have non-words, if you use too much I-focused language, if you are using non-specific words. And now the naughty word S-T-U-F-F, it's debris, it's rubbish, and it is used all the time. And people make a comment, I'm getting ready for the meeting and stuff. No, the end of the sentence is meeting. Shut up, stop talking. Pauses. Now this is an idea, Lisa, as counterintuitive as it is. When you pause, you're actually connecting to your audience more, because they have to digest and internalize what they just heard. And most of the non-words that lose your credibility usually go where there should be a pause. And in a pause, you can think what comes next. Consider this. You could say, Lisa, there are 3 things you're going to like about doing business with us. Or you could say, we have 3 specific advantages that can serve our clients. So you want things, you want specific advantages. Look at the quality of your words. Make your service and your firm sound more valuable. It's very difficult to be creative in isolation. And we certainly commend you for being ambitious professionals who would sign up for this event to learn how to be more credible and impactful in your communication. What I would challenge you to do is make improving the quality of your communication skills a team or company initiative. As I say, Fripp VT can be used for you for continuing education. What you might also want to do is project it if you have a team meeting and use this as an educational tool. You can only get 1 certificate, 1 continuing education credit per course, but that doesn't mean you can't share the information with a couple of people on your team. And I know with Lisa's company, if you have retreats, you can also use Fripp VT as educational components as part of your meeting. Do you want to say anything about that, Lisa?
Oh, you said it.
Okay, perfect. So with that, Paul, do we have any more questions or comments before we tie this up into a nice concluding package?
No, we don't.
All right. Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to present how you can add clarity and confidence and credibility to all your communications, which increases your career success. You notice another way to help add some rhythm to your presentation and the chance to be remembered and repeated is with alliteration. We encourage you to at least take a trial of Fripp VT to see if that way is, and many of Lisa's clients and our friends say, Fripp, this is a much more fun way to earn my continuing education credits than some of my other options. So we would love to add you to that list. We certainly are always here to serve you. I will let Lisa have the walk-away line, but for me, my walk-away last words linger is, I hope you will always remember Fripp, F-R-I-P-P. However, much more important than remembering Fripp, remember what Fripp stands for. Frequently, reinforce ideas that are productive and profitable. Any notes that you have, share them with your team, and that will reinforce what you believe you have learned. Good luck with your business, and Lisa, back to you.
Thank you very much, Patricia, and thank you to all our participants today and to IPBC for sponsoring the event. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.